And we're live. Ryan, what's wrong with you? What, stub your toe or something?
My ankle.
Oh.
Did I sell that to you? Oh, really? I just faked an injury for you guys. How about that? Yeah.
Thanks,
yeah,
LeBron.
we heard it. Yeah, whatever. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, whatever time it is for you right now. Just know that you are locked in To The Point with
Skip
and the King. You guys know what to do. Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, which is hopefully where you're watching us right now.
And make sure you subscribe.
And, go down there, click subscribe, click like. We love your time that you spend with us. We love that you love our fantastic guests, especially OG from our own show right there, the mouth of the North. Can I Ric Flair you and be like, woo! Mr. Andrew Reece from the Reece Report. How you doing today, my man?
I'm great. Looking forward to doing my show tonight, and I'm happy to be with you guys right now to talk about our team.
Okay, Skip, what's up? You good?
Not too much. Just fell asleep watching that Lakers game last night, but that's about it.
Okay, yeah, I can't blame you. I can't fault you on that one. Guys, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of this. Okay, so we're here. Apparently, you guys have clicked on that thumbnail to see what we're going to talk about, and I'm very curious. Now, let me preface this. The Raptors have had multiple injuries and multiple players out. You can go from Freddy VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, Precious Achiuwa currently, Otto Porter, Scotty Barnes was out at one point. Major players and major people that are part of the roster, even Gary Trent, right, as well. They have been out. Now, with the players coming back into it, right, within the system to get back into the Raptors organization, because we all know Nick Nurse loves to keep a tight leash on his players on the roster. Now, my question to you, Mr. Mouth of the North, Andrew Reece, is since what we're covering is Freddy VanVleet, since he has been back, do you think he has been in a slump, or he is actually getting acclimated towards the new way the Raptors are going with positionless 6'9"?
No, he's been in a slump. There's no question about it. He's been in a slump. I think one of the main reasons why the Raptors are just a game above 500 is the fall of Fred VanVleet. He was an all-star last year, and he was the reason why we were winning a lot of games last year. That's not the case this year. In his last 10 games, we're talking about a guy that's shooting 32% from the field and 25% from three. And we're talking high volume. Like, he's taking over 10 shots a game for the most part. And we're talking about like high volume 3-point shots. And it's cost the Raptors a lot of us, and we've talked about this, would like him to adjust his game. But right now he's trying to find it, and he's lost. And you can tell that on and off the court that he's struggling with it right now. I mean, when you shoot 21 for 83 from three and 48 out of 151 from the field, you're struggling. And even other aspects of his game off the court as a leader, struggling there as well. The team seems very directionless right now. They're just going out there and playing. And as a result, you have a team that is not really sure what their roles are or what they should be doing on the court. And it leads to a lot of messy situations on and off the court. I think the Raptors had a little players-only meeting at one point earlier this week because of this. So Fred is struggling on and off the court, and it's led to the Raptors being mediocre for most of this year. I'll get into more of what else is going on with the team, but that's Fred VanVleet. He's struggling right now. There's no question.
I'm going to take a timeout right here, Skip. Woo! Go to WeDoLaundry.ca. punch in the promo code to the point. They come to your door, wash, pick up your clothes, wash, fold, bring it right back for you, unscathed, beautiful looking. I understand that winter is upon us, and a lot of people don't want to get out to their laundromat. A lot of people don't like. I know I hate the cold as well, even though I'm born and raised here in the city of Toronto. But like, I get it. It's a great service. You guys should go check it out. Remember, again, promo code to the point, 5% off. That's interesting that you said that about the players. Now, but there are multiple factors that have dealt with Fred VanVleet so far. Now, Skip, I gotta ask you. He like I just alluded to with the multiple players being out and him having to deal with the illness, right? Illness. We're not sure what it is. Thank God it's not COVID. But
well, yeah.
we're like okay. Do you think that illness has affected him, or also to answer to Andrew Reece? Do you think he's just trying to get back acclimated as a player on the Toronto Raptors?
Well, there's a few different factors, and I think we don't know which ones are the most important ones just yet. So if you take a step back and you look at the whole arc of his last season and a half, right? He was great in the first half last year. Then he had the knee injury, and he really fell off. His shot fell off. His numbers fell off in general in the second half. Came into this year, was doing all right early in the season. Then he had a back injury, so suddenly you're worried about that. And then he gets the illness. So my thinking going into this was maybe it's the accumulation of all these injuries, right? It's not necessarily the illness. It's the knee injury plus the back injury plus this plus that. But I went back and I looked. He missed a couple games with that back injury, and he came back and he shot. What did he shoot? He shot lights out for. Let me see if I have it up here. He shot lights out for the 4 games that he came back. 21 for 46 from 3. That's 45%. High volume, again, like averaging like 12 threes a game, and shooting a really high percentage on them. Then he goes down with the illness, and he comes back. He tries to come back. He's not ready. He stays out another game. Then he comes back, and the three-point shooting is just completely cratered in that 9-game stretch, like you mentioned. 18 for 76 from 3, 23%. His 2-point numbers are down. So that to me says that, listen, like he had probably a pretty serious flu, whether it was COVID, whether it was just a flu. And that might have just really, you talk about all the things that can do, right? It can sap your strength. It can keep you out for a while. It can get you out of rhythm just because, like, if you're in bed for a few days, you're not at the gym, you're not practicing, you're not doing this. And so I think it could just be a matter of, listen, everyone goes through slumps. I think everyone here knows that I play competitive pool. Like, I have days where my shot just goes, and it's like,
and both you guys follow baseball, so you guys are very aware of.
Well, exactly, and you're just fighting. You're fighting to get it back, and sometimes it takes like a while for it to click back into place. And I think there's a chance that, listen, once he gets his strength back, once he gets his confidence back, maybe these 2 games against the Magic coming up, that will help him get in rhythm a little bit and just have time to settle into his role again. Because when you do start to get those yips, sometimes it's like you try a little harder, you push a little harder, and it's like, oh, I have to make this shot, and it's like, oh, I'm thinking about it now. Like, this is such an easy shot, I can't possibly miss this shot.
Gets in your head. Is that
gets in your head a little bit. So
okay.
I think there's a good chance that. Listen, he just needs a couple games to get back in rhythm. He just needs to get his full legs underneath him. But it is definitely a concern because, listen, Fred VanVleet has to be one of the better shooters in the league for this team to be hitting on all cylinders. It's not just him; the whole team's struggling from 3. But he's kind of your featured guy, and if he's not making his threes, a lot of other stuff kind of falls apart.
Skip, guys, can I say something here? Can I rebuttal? Okay, so Skip, you literally just mentioned about the threes. Now, I was just looking, doing the eye test, and to me, the way I see it, it's Steph to Golden State, Dame to Portland is Freddy to Toronto.
Mhm.
Mom, don't worry, I'm not getting mad at him.
I
okay?
would say it's more like Clay or CJ, but go on.
Well, I would, well, you could clearly see with the eye test, Freddy will just pull up from the logo and go and gun it. Right now, we were just talking about his slump, right? Which is what people want to call it. Now,
It's definitely a slump. I don't know why you're doing the air quotes. Like it's his worst shooting season of his career so far, other than his rookie year.
Okay. It is a slump. I've seen a lot of people online saying it's a slump. Get rid of him. You know, he doesn't want to be part of the Raptors. Now, I think we all have seen that, especially with the presser after the Lakers game, that he unfollowed a bunch of the Raptors and the Raptors organization, right? Which led people to believe that he doesn't want to be here, which I totally think is bullshit, because he even said that I'm not even following my mom. Like, I'm about to go unfollow my mom right now. Okay. No, seriously. So people might think that about him. And, you know, like, there was the illness, you know, he might have some personal issues, which we will not talk about, because they're currently, as far as I know, there are a lot of people within the Raptors organization that do have personal issues with their family and who they're around.
That's all just Twitter gossip. No one in the know is saying that, but go on.
Yeah.
I know one for sure. That's why I'm wearing all black. So I gotta ask you guys, I'm gonna start with you, Reece. Like, based on what Freddy has done, like, you've seen after all the whole Instagram bullshit, right? The last game against the Los Angeles losers, right? What we've seen him accomplish there, do you think he will bounce back being part of that quadruple head monster of him, Pascal, OG, and Scotty? Do you see him bouncing back for the rest of the season, or do you see him failing?
I think he can, but here's my thing with Freddy. I don't know if this is within him, but he should start shooting the ball less. The Raptors, from what I have seen on the Raptors, their main problem right now is they're horrific from three-point range. Absolutely horrific. And let me explain to you why they're horrific. In the last 13 games, the Raptors are shooting 29% from three. That is second last in the league to guess who? The loser Lakers. That's right. Lakers. Okay. So the Raptors are shooting way too many threes, and they're not making nearly enough. And it is horrific. When you're at 29%, let me just say how bad it is. They're 117 for 400 from three in the last 13 games. So just have a bunch of 6'8" guys, and they need to. And we've seen a little bit of this, but not enough. We've seen Scotty Barnes sort of adjust his game to go inside a little bit more and use his body to bully people. We've seen OG sort of do it. We've seen Pascal Siakam in the Boston game. He went to the rim. He dunked on some people. The Raptors need to focus. They need to focus more on getting inside instead of taking these jumpers, because what's happening is they're coming down the floor taking quick shots, and it's leading to them getting exposed on the defensive end. And if you notice, and I'll mention the Boston game for an example, when the Raptors ran and passed the ball to open players, they looked good. The minute Boston slowed the game down and cut down on the fast break opportunities and the second chance points, they owned the Raptors in the third quarter. Their defense, the Raptors could not break down their defense, and the Celtics just destroyed.
Third quarter?
So, like, the Raptors need to stop relying on the fast break and second chance points, because when you play good teams that are good defensively, that's not going to work. And so I don't think Freddy should completely stop shooting. I just think he shoot less and look for the big guys, look for the 6'8" guys, look for Koloko for alley-oops, and then worry about shooting the ball. Because if he's just going to come up the floor and shoot, then it's going to lead to what's happened to the Raptors in the last little stretch. And so adjusting your game slightly is not going to hurt Fred VanVleet. In fact, it might make him more efficient on the floor. Either that or have Scotty bring the ball up, or have Pascal bring the ball up and have him in a position where he can be more open to shoot the ball instead of just shooting on the run.
Okay, that's fair. Okay. I was going to say, the answer is not to stop having Freddy shoot threes. The answer is, I mean, to your point, the answer is to get inside, to get those shots more open. And I think an underrated aspect of what we're talking about, right, is Pascal missed 10 of these games. And Pascal is the guy that creates the offense for everybody else. Like I said, it's not just Freddy that's his shooting is down, right? Freddy's shooting is down, I think, 5%.
It's the
Gary
entire
Trent's
team.
shooting down is down 5%. OG Anunoby's shooting is down like 3 or 4%.
Correct.
These are you look at the stats last year, these are your 3 elite three-point shooters. If all 3 of them are not elite, suddenly the three-point shot just absolutely craters, especially with Otto Porter Jr. barely playing at all.
It becomes obsolete.
Like, it's horrific, Skip. It's horrific. 29%. It's horrific.
No, I mean, the shooting has been awful. I'm not arguing that one bit, but the way to get these guys going is to your point, to get Pascal opening things up inside and to create more motion. I mean, the Raptors are so stagnant in the half court. And there's, I don't know if there's a simple solution for how to create more motion, but just cutting, moving, but I mean, and catch and shoot. Get these guys in catch and shoot situations. But it's hard when they're already struggling, right? We saw Gary go through a huge slump. Now we're seeing Freddy go through a huge slump. I think that in theory, Pascal coming back will help get these guys really, really open shots. Because one thing I was saying earlier when I have the yips, like when I'm shooting pool or whatever, it's not, you have to start with the easy shot, right? When you're trying to get back in rhythm, when you're trying to get back in you have to get your rhythm back. And then suddenly you get your rhythm back and it's like, I can hit anything. I can hit the logo shot. I can do this. I can do that. But you got to start with those wide open shots, those really rhythm shots, those shots where you're just putting them up without thinking. And I think Pascal will really help with that. But I definitely think Toronto needs to not increase their shooting volume, but keep their shooting volume at basically where it is right now, but make them better shots. And again, we pair these things so much when we talk about the three-point game, right? The assists, again, 25th in the league. The three-point percentage, 25th in the league. These are not accidents. That these numbers are tied together like this, right?
Too much ISO ball, Skip.
When you get the ball in motion, those three-point shots are going to go in. And we need Pascal to be doing that. As much as he's looked good coming back from his injury, I don't think the team has totally started to click on all cylinders yet, because you'll see a game where it's all Pascal, and then you'll see a game where he's getting other people involved. And then you'll see a game where it's all Pascal again. So that's really, I think, the solution, other than going out and getting real elite shooters, which I think it's still a huge need for this team, but it's also what those shots look like, right? Because you can bring in shooters like Otto Porter Jr. It's not going to be, if you're dribbling up the floor and taking a contested three, it's still not going to be a great shot.
And that's what I'm talking about. Like Freddy being 3 for 12, instead of being 3 for 12, be 3 for 8 with 7 assists. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have to be 3 for 12 from 3. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Both of you guys just touched on this. And I will say no other team will ever be like the San Antonio Spurs last decade, right? To control the ISO ball. But now
it's called Golden State.
Well, Skip, you and both of you guys have just talked about this. It's how do you control the ISO ball when it comes down to it? Because what I wanted to ask you guys is, the Raptors this past week have just faced 2 of the most prolific, historic franchises in the NBA. Okay, one of them, they 1 win, 1 loss. Well, that loss was because that guy ruined that team. But it was a litmus.
What do you mean?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, the losers.
That was the win, not the loss. But okay, go ahead.
Yeah, whatever. But the loss was against Boston, and Boston is a very strong contender in this Eastern Conference. Mm-hmm. So it was very much of a litmus test to see what the Raptors could do. And what we witnessed, I know we were all on the group chat, but we were looking at it and we noticed that the Raptors over the last couple of years have not been successful when it comes to ISO ball. Like, you don't have a Tim Duncan down there to grab the ball, look at everybody, and be like, okay, boom, here, let's roll, right?
I mean, that's what
So-
Pascal's supposed to be doing.
That's what
not Tim
Pascal's
Duncan, but yeah.
But he's just spinning. Right?
Yeah, the problem is though is that they're spending too much time watching Pascal Siakam. In the first quarters where they've been losing games 40-20, Siakam starts off the game with 8-10 points, and they're all watching him go one-on-one, and the rest of the team doesn't get a rhythm. And then when he starts missing, all of a sudden it's long rebound and easy buckets for the other team. And so
Exactly.
that's the issue. And if Siakam's not going to do it, then either a Scott Barnes or a Fred VanVleet has to get up there and say, hey, let's get everyone else involved, give me the ball, and let's start moving. Because it happened in the Boston game, guys, and I just want to go quickly over this. When they were running on the Celtics, they owned the second quarter. They were up 8 points. They were running on the Celtics. They were getting open shots. They had 37 points in the second quarter. Then the turning point happened, and with 2 minutes left, Blake Griffin made Scotty Barnes look like a rookie from his first game ever by faking a three and going around and dunking on him. That changed the entire game. From that point on, going into the third quarter, the Celtics slowed the game down, and as soon as they slowed the game down, allowed no fast breaks or easy leak outs, they owned the Raptors in the half court completely. They were moving the ball better than them in the offensive end, and they were completely stopping the Raptors from getting inside, from doing anything they want in the half court because they couldn't run. And then Jason Tatum just took over. OG's been a great defensive player this year, but Tatum put him on a spin dial. It was just crossovers.
He wasn't really guarding Tatum that much that game, was he?
Well, there was one where there was one from the 3-point line where he just crossed him over, went by him, and did a under the glass behind the back layup. It was all Tatum in that quarter. And so this is the issue I have with the Raptors. Whether they're good or not doesn't really matter at this point. If they're going to be in the playoffs, the games are going to slow down, and the ball's going to move.
Yes.
And if you cannot play a half-court offense that's not strictly ISO ball, you're going to end up like the Brooklyn Nets getting swept by the Celtics. And they got way better players than us, at one-on-one players. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are two of the best one-on-one players ever, and they got swept. So just understand that's where we're at right now.
We might talk about this new era of basketball, but in my 5 decades of watching this, basketball is basketball. To win in the playoffs, it's all about the ISO half court where you could slow it down. Currently, the Raptors do not have that. Skip?
Well, I mean, the only guy they have who can really do that is Siakam. And in a playoff situation, that's not enough, probably. The Celtics game, I'm not going to kill them over the Celtics game. It's annoying because we had the rest advantage, we had the home court advantage. But listen, the Celtics are going for a title this year. There's no shame in losing to the Celtics. I think they played really well. You listen to the interview with Jason Tatum after the game. He said, look, this is a tough place to play, but we believe we can beat anybody. And then they went out and they crushed the Phoenix Suns. So this is not a team to take lightly by any stretch. I think it's just annoying because even with all the on paper advantages, you still lost that game. So it just tells you that you're a few rungs below the Celtics in the standings. But again, Fred VanVleet, if he's shooting up to his capabilities, then I think they have a chance to steal that game. I think the other thing to talk about, I want to get back to VanVleet for a little bit because this is sort of what this episode's mostly about. The other thing is, like, listen, this is a contract year for him, and if he keeps shooting the way he's shooting, I mean, look at his overall numbers. I mean, his what do I got?
It's horrendous. It's horrendous.
His 3-point percentage, yeah, way down.
Does his value go down, Skip?
33% from 3. His effective field goal percentage is 45%. That's the worst in his career by far, outside of his rookie season. His 2-point percentage is down. Even his assists and rebounds are down a bit. If you look at his cleaning glass numbers, he's in the lower half of point guards in terms of points per shot, assist percentage, all these numbers. This is really concerning to me because, I mean, I don't want to be alarmist here, but Fred VanVleet's 28 years old. You look at a guy like, I mean, this is pulling name out of thin air, but a guy like Isaiah Thomas, he was pretty much on his way out of the league by the time he was 28 years old. And he was another guy who was a short guard who got a lot of his value from shooting threes, right? So this is, if you're going into this upcoming stretch, right? We're assuming VanVleet's going to opt out. He's going to look for a big contract going forward. These numbers are a little bit concerning to me. I don't think that's what's going on. I think it's maybe just ticky-tack injuries, maybe just a bit of a slump. It's still pretty early in the season. He's got lots of time to right the ship. But if he doesn't right the ship, then you start thinking, like, how many years do we really want to commit to a 28-year-old point guard who's small? So if he loses a step, like, that's a huge, huge problem for a guy his height.
Yes, and you know what? He does not fit the positionless.
Well, and he doesn't fit the positionless. But literally, like, you have to think about, if this isn't his decline, when is his decline going to start? Because not every player is like Lowry. Not every player can play till they're 36. So you have to just kind of be watchful of this going forward if you're thinking about extending him or bringing him back, or whatever the case may be. Now, that's very early days to be saying that stuff. I think we should give him a good runway of like 3 or 4 months to fix his problems and get his shot back in line, and maybe everything will be kosher. But it's something I'd be watching if I was Masai.
Yeah, the concern for me is that this happened from the second half of last year
exactly
until now. He's been this player, and so we're talking like second half of last year, the playoffs included, after he blew out his hip, and now he's been in this slump. So it hasn't been just this season. This happened literally after the All-Star break got hurt.
And Isaiah was a hip too. Well, no, VanVleet's a knee, but Isaiah was a hip. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's been this bad since basically right after the All-Star, when he had his 54-point game against Orlando. Right after that, he's been this bad. So yeah, it's worth monitoring. But the Raptors don't have a backup plan, and so you're not going to start Flynn or Banton. So they've got some decision making. But we said this last year: the Raptors are going to have to make big decisions within the next 2 years, and this is year 2. And so here we go. They're 13-12. They deserve to be 13-12. They're a middle of the road team, and I know nobody, including Masai, wants to be in that position. So, hey, let's buckle up. It's going to happen at some point.
Okay, thanks, Reece. We're pressed for time. Skip, thank you. Reece, I know every time you come on our show, you always got an interesting question to throw at myself and Skip. Can we hear it?
Well, my question is, I'm going to ask Skip first. Are the Raptors a deserved 13-12? That was my question, actually.
I think based on the injuries and based on the parity in the league, I think they're probably right about where they should be. I'm not panicking because, look, I mean, you're like, what, 2-3 games out of second seed? Maybe third seed?
Yeah. I think so.
I think it'd be the third seed.
Cleveland is 14-8, so yeah, maybe 3 games out.
Yeah, so you're not in a disastrous position to be 13-12 right now, but certainly they have a lot of things to clean up. They need to get healthier. They need to start shooting better. They need to clean up a few things if they want to be the team that we thought they were coming into the season. But I'm not totally alarmed, despite what I just said about VanVleet. I would like to see them take care of business against the Magic, obviously, and then kind of go on a little bit of a mini run, even if it's not like 10-2, like just, go off and have a good month or something. And I think they'll be fine.
Skip?
Reece?
Sorry. King. What? Like, King.
I'm going to answer your question before you say it. That jackass, that ambassador, only sat there for the second quarter.
Actually, I was gonna ask you, King, what is wrong with your bench? What's wrong with your bench?
No, I think it's just honestly, it's just running the minutes and the starters that are coming back getting reacclimated to within the rotation and how they have to deal with that. And speaking of the bench, you saw on the other side, it was empty for the first quarter, the third quarter, and the fourth quarter. It was only full for the second.
Talk about Drake.
Quickly,
can I jump in on that real quick?
Yes, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, but you know what though? To be real, to be serious with you, it's really like the acclimation of like everybody getting in there together, rotating properly, who's getting minutes, what roles are defined. And I think like since now we're only just over a quarter way of this through the season, right? And there's a lot more basketball to be played. We can figure it out as the teams that we play through. Like for example, Skip just said about them playing the Orlando Magic the next 2 games. Like maybe they could figure something out. They played against the losers just recently, and they were pretty successful. They could have been a hell of a lot more successful. They scored 1 more bucket, they would have made Daddy some money on Bet 365. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, but we can see how they can work through it, what they can do, right? Maybe they can figure out different ways to incorporate all of them, because the Raptors do have a very, very deep bench, a deeper bench than most teams out there in the league. Can we agree on that one?
No.
Like,
no,
they just need to be
no.
utilized.
But listen, let me say something real quick because we got to get out of here.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Here we go.
I
There
thought
we
it was
go. Did I just unlock a
interesting-
can of worms?
No, it's just interesting how they finally settled into a bit of a starting lineup with Barnes as kind of the 2 guard, or maybe the 4, and Koloko as the center. And that means the bench unit is Trent, Boucher, and Thaddeus Young. And obviously, there's going to be 1 or 2 more people worked into that once Porter comes
What
back.
did I say last
Maybe
episode?
you could get Kem Birch in as a center against big guys. But I think they've kind of found their zone a little bit in terms of who they want to bring off the bench, and it's just making these guys excel at this point. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there because we got to get out of here.
What I say last episode?
I don't know what you're referencing.
I said Trent, Boucher, Scotty, bring them off the bench because they can put Koloko and.
Well, we
Yeah,
don't want
they
to.
can
We don't want another Scott. We don't want another Pascal Nick Nurse situation. Scott's already cried about coming off the bench once, so we don't really want to see that again. Although I'd prefer it as well. But let's wrap it up. I was gonna ask King about Utah Watanabe's success in Brooklyn, but we don't have time. So
He's been hurt most of the year. Anyway.
You know he's my guy. You know
Yes,
he's my guy,
yes.
and I missed him off that bench.
He's hurt again. He's got a hamstring injury. Anyway, Skip, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just throw it to Brian. I think we're pretty much done.
All right.
Okay, guys. Reece, thank you very much for coming on the show. Thank you guys out there for watching and supporting us. Remember, click subscribe, like, click on that bell thing just so you can be notified when we post an episode. You know, Reece, Mr. Andrew Reece, the mouth of the North from the Reece Report. Thank you for coming back on the show. Shout out to your beautiful wife and your great looking son. Okay. Skip, you guys know where to find him at Dougie J's on Twitter. Go find Running the Point. That's the bootleg. I own it. Yeah, I own that. I'll sell that to you guys in a couple years for $20,000. You guys can find me at King Hussein on all social media platforms. Yeah, that's what your son just made. Okay, you got to make it to the point one.
To all my viewers out there.
You guys go check Mr. Reece on him. He's like Peter Griffin, what's grinding my gears. So on behalf of myself, Andrew, and Simon, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, and
Peace.